Who is going to be the dominant white ball cricket team over the next 4 years?
So I think I can say this now because he's no longer the coach as of today, isn't he? But I remember talking to Earl Dravid at Beckenham years ago when he was there with the maybe the A team, India A team, and we were just having a chat, and he was saying, I think India's just going to take white ball cricket over. He said the talent that I'm working with at the younger level, it seems so high, and he said red ball, I'm not as sure. You know, he was kind of projecting beyond the Jadeja, Ashwin, Bumrah era. He's like, I don't know if I see red ball bowlers coming through in the same way. But he was like, white ball cricket, like, Jarrod, I could pick like a random team and, you know, we would do really well in some tournaments. They just won a World Cup without Abhishek Sharma, who is one of the best hitters of a cricket ball that I've seen in a very long time. They didn't pick Rinku Singh, who's an incredible finisher. They didn't bring Jaiswal off the bench, right? Jaiswal starts for every other team in this tournament, right? Like, all due respects to Reza Hendricks from South Africa, he's not Jaiswal, is he? And so, you know, you look at the talent there, they have to keep producing, and they're producing fast bowlers now at a rate that we've never seen before. You know, obviously, we don't know how good Mayank Yadav is going to be. I don't know if you've seen much of him, Harmy, but he looks ridiculous. So that I think they have a chance of doing that. I think that teams have taken what the West Indies and England did and sort of grown. And you look at the West Indies and England, they're quite one-dimensional teams. You look at Australia, South Africa, and India, a lot more rounded. And I think, Australia's next T20 World Cup, they're going to probably, unless something massively goes wrong, they're going to have Travis Head and Fraser McGurk opening the batting. That's power like we've never seen before. India might...
You're going to need that power because it's in Sri Lanka.
Hey?
You're going to need power. It's going to be in Sri Lanka.
And think of what India's opening lineup will be as well. They're going to have probably, if Abhishek keeps going the way he is, they're going to have Abhishek and Jaiswal probably opening the batting over there, with Shubman Gill maybe at number 3. These teams are really coming together quite interestingly. The IPL that we just saw was unlike any T20 league that we've ever had before in terms of scoring. And I know some of that was the extra batter in the lineups and all that. But there is a real excitement, I think, coming up through that group. It is slightly different for each individual team and how things are being played at the moment and everything. But I see India as a real powerhouse going forward. Australia has to, I don't know what Australia's next bowling lineup is in white ball cricket, that next generation. New Zealand, West Indies, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. There's a lot of teams where I'm like, I don't even know what their next team is. England have to learn how to play spin and bowl spin in white ball cricket again, especially if Adil retires. But even if he doesn't, they're not playing spin particularly well at the moment. If you look back, there's a lot of talk now about Butler and Mott. England won the 2019 World Cup. They won the 2022 World Cup. They lost 2021, they lost 2023, they lost 2024. The 3 places where it spins the most are the ones where they had the most problems. That wasn't an issue as much when Owen Morgan and Joe Root were in the middle order. You take those 2 out, and I don't think England plays spin anywhere near. If you look at the stats, South Africa, Australia, and India are over here playing spin, and England's all the way back with the lesser teams. They're a mile off the major teams. So I think South Africa's really interesting because I just believe eventually South Africa will find an all-rounder, right? If South Africa find an all-rounder and Marco Jansen bats at 8, that's a beast of a side going ahead. And they've got really good bowlers. Jarrod Kimber didn't even play in this World Cup. I think he's a fantastic player, right? So they've got multiple options coming through. So I think India is the team that's in the best situation. And over the next 1 to 2 years, I think Australia and South Africa are really, really interesting white ball teams. I just don't trust England until I could see them playing spin at the level they were when they were dominating the world.
And who are the people to take them forward?
Take England forward? Well, if you look at what's there now, you'd say Moen gone.
Well, you're talking about captaincy, right?
Yeah.
Because there's Rob Key's spoken, and he says he's waiting for the dust to settle before a decision is made about Matthew Mott and Jos Buttler.
I don't think Matthew Mott comes through this. I think there's too many noises for him. I feel sorry for him because, and I said that the other week, it's like you've got Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes who haven't won a test series in 18 months, but you can see the process where they're going.
Yeah.
I can see what Ben's trying to do, and I can see what Brendan's trying to do and where they're trying to get to. I don't see that with the white ball team off the back of winning in Australia than sticking with the older guard in India. And there's too many noises for me for Mott to continue. So I'd imagine there'll be a change there.
Also, just on
Where
Mott,
does-
it's really weird because he brought in to continue this legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one expected it to have broken down by now.
No.
So there is a part of which, if you think Mott was the good guy to continue a legacy, you
give him the chance to go again, because what's broken is the older guard who have just run out of steam.
Yeah.
Moen's run out of
And
steam.
so do you?
So is he the?
Yeah. Do you think he's the guy that rebuilds it?
Yeah.
Or do you think he's the guy that? Because the two jobs he's had, Australian women's team and England men's team, he came in when they were both already flying. Right.
Yeah.
He made the Australian women's team what they were, but they were already more talented than everyone else. He just brought it together and harnessed it and made them more professional. And with the, with England's men's team, he just sort of shipped around it and changed a few things that Bayless did to make it a little bit more clear cut and a little bit less vibesy and a little bit more structured. And now that's fallen off a cliff. And you're like, they have to make a really quick decision. It's not about whether Matthew Mott is a good coach or a bad coach for me. It's literally, is he the right coach if we have to do a rebuild?
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. And that's the same question with Butler, isn't it?
And that's the
Also, I think there's probably more options for a coach of England, because who captains that side if Butler doesn't?
Sam Curran?
Well, that's the name I
you
thought
can't
of.
get in a team.
And I was going to say, he's not an automatic selection, is he?
Yeah.
No.
That's the problem with Sam Curran.
But then-
and also, if you pick Sam Curran, and we've talked about this before, was it me, Harmy, and Butch did the podcast about him? You almost have to build the team around what
yeah.
Sam Curran does.
Yeah.
England doesn't want to do that. They like being flexible.
And that's the big. I think the captain's more important than the coach.
Yeah.
Because I think strong sides and the strong teams have been built around the leadership quality of the
Yeah,
captain.
and Morgan maybe didn't justify his place as a batter.
He definitely
for the
did.
last year or
he
so,
definitely
did
did. He definitely did as a captain. Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's
of
Tony.
course.
and
But
people
that's
like
what I
that,
mean. So
you know.
maybe Sam Curran will justify his place.
But is
as
he-
a
if
captain.
If it's not
Is he-
Curran, who is it?
well,
But
it's
is he?
Butler.
Is he?
No, it is. That's the point, right?
But
Because you go through it.
we've been here before with Joe Root. Joe Root lasted a year, probably longer than a lot of people thought he should have, because we've got nobody else. I mean, Joe Root, it has to be Joe Root because we've got nobody else. That's not fair on Joe Root. I don't think this is fair on Josh Butler. If we can't find somebody else out of 11 players to captain a team, I'm sorry, we got this horribly wrong.
So
There will be somebody out there that can captain this team.
Who then? It's
Well,
not going to be Phil Salt.
But we
I
don't.
was going
we
to say,
don't-
Salk probably can't do it, right?
We-
Brooke
no.
won't do it, and also doesn't look like a sure
No.
thing in this
No.
side at the moment. So who else? Livingston?
No.
He's a
It's Curran. Curran is. You go through it. Sam Curran is the only one. It would be Moeen Ali, but he's about to
Yeah.
walk away.
Where does Will Jacks fit in this? Will Jacks replaces Mo and Ali. I don't know these characters. I'm just seeing them what I'm seeing off TV. I'm seeing them, what you try and build up an impression in your head because you've been in that dressing room. You see where they are. It could be someone like Will Jacks who might be somebody who England long-term future go, or somebody that's left field that potentially is, because there's quite a few going out. Wokesel probably won't play a white ball again. Moen probably won't play a white ball again. I mean, there's a big question mark on Livingston. He's young enough, and I still think he's good enough, but he hasn't performed as well.
But
Curran
that's
can't get
the
in
other
the
problem,
team.
isn't it? That whole Brooke, Livingston, even Will Jacks, we all thought Will Jacks was an automatic pick for this World Cup, and they haven't even ended up going with him, right? So
But that was just because Bairstow had to bat in number 3. For me, you couldn't have.
Yeah, but you had to have Will Jacks in ahead of Moeen Ali, whose bowling and batting has dropped off.
But
Do you know
I
what
had
mean?
Will Jacks. Will Jacks got 100 for RCB, so that was you could have batted at number 3. But you're going, hold on, you can't have. For me, you can't go in the T20 format with the 4 opening batters like they did at 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the problem. So somebody had to give. Well, you back Johnny because of the experience that Johnny's got. So Jacks was instead of being moved to number 5 and number 6, he was just jettisoned out of the team altogether. This is the rebuild job. Is it Matthew Mott, a position that you believed at the start that when I give him the job, Rob Key, do I feel as though this day is going to come because Morgan's gone, Moen's going, all these players would potentially might because of the age that Mark's at. There's 1 or 2 others who have been in and around the fringe who are at an age where in the next T20 World Cup they won't be around, so they've gone. Park that. Was he brought in to build this group up? If you feel he was, and you feel as though you stick with him, if you feel as though in the last year and a bit you have seen things from his leadership, or you don't feel as though he's the right one, and you make the change now. And then, but I think if you make the change now, do you then turn around to Butler and say, well, we just want you to go back and play IPL and open the baton for England, and that's it? That might be where the conversation's being, or the thought process is being at the minute. Having the opinion of there's nobody else, so it's Josh Butler. For me, that's a million mile wrong. There's always somebody else. Always somebody else. Then you just build your team around that person that you identify, and you go bang. He's the first name on the team sheet because he's the captain. We're going to build a team around him. If it's Sam Curran, it's Sam Curran. If it's somebody else, it's somebody else that comes in and bats it wherever. But don't just say Josh is the best player. He's got to be captain. I mean, it did it for a year too much for Joe Root, and for me, I thought it was cruel on Joe Root to keep wheeling him out in press conference. Time after time, we did it with Sir Alistair Cook, time after time after time, where you just break them. Don't break Josh Butler. He's the best cricketer, for me, he's the best cricketer that we've produced in white ball cricket. And he still has a lot of legs in him. He might turn around and say to Keezy, I'm rebuilding it. I'm captain, I'm rebuilding it. If he does, fine. But you give him the tools what he wants. Like you did with Ben Stokes. You basically said to Ben Stokes, this is your team now. You are in charge. McCullum, Ben Stokes is heavily involved in picking Shoaib Bashir, who doesn't play for Somerset. Ben Stokes is heavily involved in picking Jamie Smith, who doesn't keep for Surrey. I can see the process of where Ben Stokes is going. I struggle with a white ball team. If it's going to be Josh Butler, give him the tools to make the next generation as good as the last one when the old guard go.
Make Ben Stokes captain.
I honestly think Matt Roller and Tim Wigmore wrote the book about the England white ball team and how they revolutionised it.
White Hoots or something.
Yeah, it's a really good book. We don't have it on our shelves, but it's a really good book. But I talked to Roller about it, and I said, I don't see the next generation coming through. And he was like, no, Jarrod, they've got things in place, whatever. Since then, they've completely fallen off the block. I remember watching Pro 40 cricket and watching all these guys and just go, this is incredible. I watch a fair bit of Blast cricket. I don't quite see that same level of talent coming through at the moment. So, and I'm comparing that to Australia did not have Fraser McGurk in their squad, and India did not have Abhishek Sharma or Rinku Singh in their squad, or Spencer Johnson from Australia. These are really good players that those teams didn't even think were in their best 15. I don't see those players in England at the moment just outside the squad. So I think it's something that we have to keep an eye on, because it might need more than just Josh Butler going, let's start again.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.